Perfect. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jyoti Swami and I'm a recent graduate from UC Berkeley. I'm also an artist, singer, actor, dancer, poet, and writer. And today I'm going to talk to you about some tips and tricks that helped me get over imposter syndrome at UC Berkeley as a transfer student. I understand that there are a lot of other types of students. There's freshmen, newly admitted, there's exchange students, and I'm going to try my best to incorporate the things that helped me. But yeah, it's going to be like geared towards that feeling for transfer students, because I was a transfer student, specifically a sociology major. And yeah, I'll just get into it. Oh, and also thank you so much to 300 of you who are subscribing to me. I appreciate it so much. And I can assure you we got more content coming on the way, more music, more dance videos, more poetry videos, more acting stuff. So please stay tuned and hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and let's get started. Okay, so number one. Everybody has imposter syndrome. Whether people like to admit it or not, there's a hidden word for it. It's called insecurity. And so that's just what it is. And it helped me, it brought me a lot of comfort to understand that other people might be feeling apprehensive or insecure. I don't think I've ever met a human being who's so confident that they have no nerves or fears or insecurities. I wish I could meet somebody like that, but I haven't met anybody like that so far in my life. So that kind of helped me, with my own imposter syndrome and my friends, and talking to other colleagues and people, and getting some feedback that they're feeling similar ways that I was feeling, like not smart enough, not good enough, and that was all bullshit. Yeah, let's see what imposter syndrome means on the web. All right, imposter syndrome. Let's see. Okay, imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, is a psychological pattern in which one doubts one's accomplishment. You got into UC Berkeley. One's accomplishment, and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. So you already accomplished, you already proved to people that you can do stuff, that you got the brains, that you got the studiousness, that you got the organization skills to even get in. So keep that in your soul, because that's real. And if it helps you any, I applied to UC Berkeley 3 times. Not once, not twice, but thrice. So you can imagine the fear and the anxiety that I went, not only as a transfer student, but not only as a newly admitted student, but as a transfer student who tried a few times to get into the school. So yeah, imposter syndrome is definitely something that I can relate to. Now, number 2, reasons that why you might have imposter syndrome. So for me, it was my age. I was a little bit older than human beings. I was a little bit older than a lot of the new freshmen, and that kind of like hit me, and so I had to kind of just get used to the idea, and it humbled me. I got used to the idea that I have a lot to learn, and there's something about learning from somebody who's younger than you that can truly enlighten and open your eyes and see the world quite differently. And so if you look at your obstacle as an opportunity, if you look at your age and kind of be humbled about it and want to work hard and want to strive. I mean, you're already here, so you want to strive, you want to do great. Looking at people as inspiration versus intimidation has been so helpful for me. And so I'm going to say that to you and give that advice to you to try to get over this imposter syndrome, to look at people as inspiration and not intimidation. So time and circumstance. It's important to remember that for me as a transfer student and a lot of my other friends, they didn't really have similar circumstances as some of the newly admitted students or some of the other students in their classes. And that's important to remember. You might have a circumstance that's drastically different than somebody else's. You might have a child, you might have 2 kids. One of my girls at the gym, she had 2 kids, and she was a psychology major, and she was working and stuff, but she still made it happen. And so there's resources and things out there that can really help and aid for when you want to make it. And so yeah, you can do this, and it's important to remember that your professors and other students may not be in the same circumstance as you. And so it's important to remember that, some other students and people, and even your professors, even your advisors, they might not have the same circumstance as you, but everyone is willing to help. And so it gave me some peace and a breath of fresh air, and help me, get away from the anxiety of imposter syndrome and towards, my goals, and staying focused and forgetting about all those nerves, which it can be a very difficult thing to do. Number 3, get comfortable with the uncomfortable, meaning you're already in a new environment. You just got into Cal, whether you're new to school, whether you're new to the Bay Area, whether you're new to the United States, a new environment. So that's already uncomfortable. I'm going to give it another, take it a step extra. Get used to being comfortable with the uncomfortable. So not only are you in a school, but you can meet new people if that's something that you haven't done. You're right. There's something so intriguing about a human being who comes up to you and says, "Hey, what's your name? I want to get to know you." Don't be creepy about it. Obviously, like if you're a guy and you want to talk to a girl, is a different story. But for friendship and if there's respect and understanding and respect for borders, for boundaries and things like that, then I don't see why it's a problem to put yourself out there a little bit, because I can guarantee you give somebody a nice smile, and nobody can turn that down. And that leads me to my next point. Smile, 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 smile. There's something so pure, beautiful about just somebody smiling. The chemistry, the biology, the feeling, and even for yourself, when you smile, the biochemistry within you, the neurons, the dendrites, they actually habituate themselves. They get used to the feeling of positivity and light by the action of smiling. So really, and Joe Dispenza taught me that. I'm gonna link him down below. He's my guy. He's my man. So I'm gonna, not my boyfriend. I have a boyfriend, but he's a guru to me, a scientific guru. So I'll link him down below. Also, UC Berkeley can get pretty chaotic. There's a lot of homeless students who are stressful and struggling and need help too. There's a lot of drug addicts and crack addicts on the street. There's you got to really watch your back in this environment. There are resources for these things, like there's like a night watch system that you can, like, people walk you to class and things, so they make sure, and there's shuttles and things like that, but that doesn't mean that this shit happens. So you gotta really get used to being in the uncomfortable. That's a it's a feel thing. So you gotta just get used to it, and it will help you get rid of that imposter syndrome if you do have it. And that leads me to my 4th point. Don't be afraid to say something stupid. I think this is something that I've lived with since I was in elementary school. I was always the kid who rose my hands and was like, "I have a question." And something about Cal, when I got here, I noticed that nobody was asking questions. People would spend their time on Facebook, and the learning process of humans is very interesting. And I noticed a lot of students, they would just surf the web while there's a lecture going on. I don't think that's smart. I think that you should, when you're in the classroom, you should put your attention to the classroom. And if you don't understand something, ask. Do not be afraid. I participated in the environment of not asking questions and trying to answer things on my own, and it didn't really do good for me. My grades started going down, but the moment that I started to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, raising my hand when I didn't understand anything, it brought room for a lot of good stuff. And other students would come up to me and they would say, "You know what, Jyoti, thank you so much. I was confused about that as well. Do you want to hang out and maybe study?" And I would hang out with other people and study, and I was understanding that, man, asking a question can bring so much energy to you, can bring so much help, so many people. So don't be afraid to say something stupid. Ask that question. And if somebody thinks that you're stupid, man, that's their own thing, because you're the smart one. You're the smart one. You're the one who wants to get those answers. So keep asking those questions. It will definitely get that imposter syndrome out. and it'll build a lot of that inner confidence within yourself too, because you know that you're doing the right thing, and it's just a friendly reminder. 5, listen. Truly listen, and that goes back to the don't be afraid to say something stupid. When you're in class, don't be on your computer. I know it can be addicting, and it can be very enticing to go on Facebook and social media, but give yourself the opportunity to really listen to the professor and have a conversation and dialogue about some of the things that you are struggling when it is test time or when it is quiz time, and it could really, really help. I promise, because the professor gives little nuggets of advice all the time in class. He'll tell you, read this early, here's a link, here's this. And if you're focused on something else versus actually listening to the professor, then you can really not do well in class. And so really listen. So when the professor says, read a little bit early, or here are the chapters, or here's some extra chapters, or here's some footnotes that you should pay attention to, listen. Listen to your classmates. This is called intuitive listening. Find out what other people do to study. Change your study habits, right? Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. This will aid in your experience and help alleviate that imposter syndrome, I can assure you. And number 6, stay busy. If you're not busy and you're done studying and you don't have really anything to do, the mind starts to move. And so whether that's exercising, meditating, cooking, hanging out with friends, doing research, trying to find research, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. I mean, spend that some extra time trying to get internships. I mean, you already got into Cal, so you're probably already doing this stuff already. But it's just a helpful reminder that if you don't do things, your mind's gonna start moving. So it helps to do things. Number 7. Now, as I know that I said social media could, be a detriment, it could also be a benefit. There's so many Facebook groups and on Instagram, and so many communities that if you just type in, let's say UC Berkeley class of 2024, there's a whole bunch of people in your, grade, from transfer students to newly admitted freshmen. There's all a spectrum of so many groups. This is how I'm going to market this video. But yeah, this is if you follow these groups, literally there's students who are going through the same thing, and it's a cool forum to kind of get people to connect with people. And heck, I would even go further and say start your own forum. That can be so powerful. I don't know who started Berkeley memes for edgy teens, but that stuff's hilarious. And I don't even know. I think there's people who aren't even at Cal who, follow that page. And so, yeah, there's so many viable ways to connect with human beings on social media. So I highly recommend that. Number 8, exercise. Exercising is so important, especially when you're in a high stress environment like Cal, and you're dealing with things like the imposter syndrome. Exercising can really get your mind focused. If you create a daily regimen or a daily routine or something that's physical, it can really help with the stress, because the exercising, you releases those endorphins, and alleviate and helps stop cortisol from producing in your body. Cortisol is the hormone that contributes to a lot of the fat that accumulates in your body. And so exercising can really help, and eating healthy can help too. If you're eating junk and garbage, you're not gonna probably think well. Just because you're eating food and of course you're gonna get energy, but imagine if you ate the right food, the mindset that you might have. And so a lot of greens and veggies and local meats, and if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, there's options for you. There's a really cool Berkeley food collective right across the campus that sells local healthy food, and I think it's really important to eat healthy. Not most college students don't, and I personally feel that it can definitely contribute to your imposter syndrome if you're not eating food. If you're just consuming coffee and sugar, your brain's probably gonna go crazy. But if you're maybe eating 6 to 7 meals a day, exercising, drinking a ton of water, life can help. Water can help. Do that. Meditate. Now that's number 9. Meditate. Going on to number 9. Meditate. I don't know how to... Let me just... feels so good to just to breathe. Sometimes that is all you need. Sometimes when your mind's going crazy, and sometimes, I deal with anxiety still to this day. I'll have some anxiety attacks. My neurons and my cells and everything, my brain, it'll start going crazy. But if you take a second and really love yourself and give yourself that time, ooh, I'm telling you. And something that I do is I wake up every morning, before I wake up, before I drink coffee, before I drink tea, before I do anything, I try to make it consistent, a 10-minute guided meditation. And I'll put the link down below. There's so many on this channel. It's called Great Meditation, and it literally saves my life. There's so many scientific biological benefits to meditation and alleviating stress that can really aid and benefit you in your journey at Cal and in your journey in life. So meditation is highly recommended. And number 10, last but not least, love yourself before anybody else. You got into Cal. You did that. Nobody else did that. No matter if you had help from people or not,